So when you start your active imagination session, you want to start by posing a question to your unconscious, or essentially be like asking these questions to yourself before you quiet the mind down and wait for mental imagery to appear. And so he has some good examples in here about how you can form these types of questions. And so these examples are in like a direct response to a client that he's working with, but I think it will give you like a good framework on how to phrase them. And these are also good questions, I think, to even ask like the dream figure directly that you encounter in your active imagination, as well as they're interesting questions to go ahead and ask in a lucid dream as well. So he writes, you can go to the unconscious in your imagination and ask the unseen content to personify itself. You can start your active imagination by asking, where is the obsession? Who is obsessed? Where does this feeling come from? Who is the one inside me who feels this way? What is this image? What does he or she look like? If you do this, an image eventually comes into your mind. The image may personify the obsession itself, or it may represent the part of you that is generating the effect, the one who is obsessed, depressed, moody, or angry. So like one of the issues I've been finding as I've been trying to, play around with active imagination here the last couple of weeks is like when I'm posing a question, right, it's nice and in my head, but then once I like try to clear my mind and wait for mental imagery to pop up, the imagery, when it does come, doesn't seem tied to like my initial question. And I'm thinking like maybe this could be because I'm waiting for too strong of mental imagery to pop up. Like maybe I gotta just kind of like roll straight into it right after asking myself these questions, but I'm still trying to like play around in the space and kind of learn about it. And then later on, he talks about what I was referencing in the previous post where, it feels to me like when I am trying to do this process, like I'm kind of just making up all the answers in my head. But he talks about here how that isn't necessarily even a bad thing. So this is a client that he's working with that was essentially trying to fool him for like weeks, just making up the whole active imagination thing. And so this is how it ends. So this is coming from the client. I've been making the whole thing up just to make a fool out of you. There wasn't a word of truth to it. And then this is what Robert does. Then I just sat and waited. I looked at him and I'll never forget the change that came over his face. The triumphant expression changed slowly to one of horror. Tears came into his eyes. He said, damn you, damn you, damn you. You tricked me. It was all true and I didn't know it. Then he just fell apart. So this is kind of talking about the whole feeling like you're making it up thing. The fake story had come out of his own insides, his own psychological guts, as it were. While he thought he was inventing something, he was spilling out the secret contents of his interior being. I am convinced that it is nearly impossible to produce anything in the imagination that is not an authentic representation of something in the unconscious. The whole function of the imagination is to draw up the material from the unconscious, close it in an image, and transmit it to the conscious mind. Whatever comes up in the imagination must have been living somewhere in the fabric of the unconscious before it was given an image form by the imagination. And then we'll end it with this. If you feel that you are talking to yourself, excellent. If you feel you are making it up, as my slide patient did, that is fine. Whatever you make up will come from your unconscious. It will be one of your interior personality speaking. All that is required ultimately is that you write down what you have to say, write down what the interior persons have to say, and write down what you do together. When you begin to see your imagination for what it really is, you will realize that it reflects the inner world of your unconscious as faithfully as a highly polished mirror. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up there, and until the next video, keep your active imagination practices legit.